Ok, vamos falar agora da solução de Sinatra, o que é e quais são esses suplementos e a função de cada um deles. Por favor, nos explique de maneira detalhada a ação deles em cada célula humana. Mas antes disso, gostaria de saber a história de cada um deles, como ele foi escolhido pelo Dr. Sinatra para compor a solução de Sinatra.
Sure. The Sinatra solution includes 4 vital nutrients. 3 of the 4 are made by the body. Carnitine is made in our kidneys predominantly. Okay. The ribose is made by cells in the body. In high school biology, we call it the pentose shunt. And CoQ10 is made by all our cells. The problem is when people become ill, many of these nutrients are used up very quickly to thwart off or to combat what doctors call free radical oxidative stress. So most people can make enough nutrient to keep them well. However, environmental toxins, congenital factors, overwhelming high blood pressure, poor diets, chemicals or insecticides or pesticides, and the list goes on, can cause an inexorable drain of these vital nutrients. So it's very important that we take them as supplements, given the fact that we live in a toxic environment in the computerized world. And remember, it's not just things we can see that are the problem. For example, the cellular phone and computers and Bluetooth and cordless phone can put out invisible signals that are toxic to DNA. So now the world is worse. We have chemicals, environmental toxins, and now we have an enormous amount of EMF, electromagnetic forces, that insidiously damage our cells. So it makes sense for us to take antioxidants, do a healthy diet, do some grounding and earthing so we get free electrons into the body, so we can live better in our computerized, increasingly toxic world.
Então vamos começar pela L-carnitina. O que é a L-carnitina? Qual a sua importância? As ações esperadas no corpo e principalmente no coração. Quais doenças cardíacas que a L-carnitina pode ajudar?
Yeah. L-carnitine is very important because it helps transport fat in the mitochondrial membrane. It acts like a ferry boat where it takes in fat that we eat and it's metabolized in the cell. And then the carnitine acts like a shuttle. It helps to take the fat into the cell, and then it takes the metabolites, which can be toxic, out of the cell. So we call it a carnitine shuttle. Shuttles fats in, takes toxic metabolites out. And I learned in my early age as a cardiologist, maybe in my late 40s, that carnitine and CoQ10 have a synergistic response. And I started to use them together after I wrote a book on carnitine, and I realized how complementary they are. Because remember, the essence of life, or the breath of God, or the ki energy, or the chi energy, is really mitochondrial energy. So coenzyme Q10 and carnitine help to turn over ATP in the mitochondrial membrane. D-ribose, which is made by our cells, is a 5-sided sugar. And it's the center of the ATP molecule. So ATP, or adenosine triphosphate, is an adenine ring, ribose, a sugar molecule, and 3 phosphate groups. It seems complex, but it's very simple. It's the energy of life, because when we do any activity, like my talking now, ATP is constantly being utilized because the last phosphate group is cleaved off, and that gives me the energy, for example, to talk. We only have 8 seconds in the body. That's why the German war criminals knew that cyanide could be very deadly, because it shuts down the Krebs cycle, and we only have 8 seconds of ATP. So if the Krebs cycle is poisoned with cyanide, you can't function.
Agora quero saber um pouquinho mais sobre o magnésio, o que é, qual a sua importância, ações esperadas no corpo e principalmente no coração. Doenças cardíacas mais comuns em que o magnésio ajuda a tratar ou prevenir.
Magnesium is a vital nutrient. It's involved in over 300 enzymatic reactions in the body. The most common heart problem in the USA, and probably Brasilia as well, is mitral valve prolapse. We know that magnesium and coenzyme Q10 can fix perhaps 80% of the symptoms associated with prolapse of the mitral valve. Perhaps 5% of the population in the USA have mitral valve prolapse, and over time can cause leakage of the mitral valve. But very rarely do people need surgery. Magnesium and CoQ10, in my experience, are lifesavers when it comes to mitral valve prolapse. I would also use carnitine and ribose if my patient did not respond to magnesium and CoQ10.
Qual a relação entre magnésio e hipertensão? Pode ajudar?
Oh, good question. Many people are hypertensive because they have low magnesium in the body. I don't know about Brazil, but in the United States, the agricultural soils are severely depleted in magnesium. Magnesium is plentiful in fruits and nuts, but if the soils don't contain enough magnesium, you need to take as a supplement. Personally, every night before bedtime, after I brush my teeth, I take 3 capsules of magnesium, 300 milligrams. It's like brushing my teeth.
Relembrando a pergunta anterior, qual tipo de magnésio é usado na solução de Sinatra?
Oh, I use 4 different types of magnesium in the Sinatra solution. I've been working for a company called Healthy Directions for almost 25 years, and I formulate vitamin and mineral products. And the magnesium formulation that I use is a combination of 4 different types of magnesium. It's an orotate, which I learned from the Australians at a CoQ10 conference 15 years ago, where magnesium orotate is very special, that it drives ATP in the right direction. It's not readily seen in magnesium supplements in the USA. And I don't know about Brazil. But I like it in combination with magnesium glycinate, citrate, and magnesium taurinate. And then I use the magnesium orotate with the other 3, and I call it broad spectrum magnesium. Now, the most common magnesium is magnesium oxide. Perhaps you use milk of magnesia in Brazil. The magnesium oxide stimulates the large bowel. And that's why we use it to get better flow of stool, and why we use it in constipation.
Vamos falar um pouquinho agora sobre a derribose. Qual a função dela e o que ela ajuda especificamente?
Well, D-ribose, like I said before, is made by the body. And it's the center of the ATP molecule. So it's very important. And what happens in people with heart disease, any form of heart disease, ischemic heart disease, valvular heart disease, congenital heart disease, is that the ribose is used up very fast, and the body cannot keep up making it. In other words, the body falls behind. Production cannot keep up with the utilization. So there's a mismatch. So in any form of heart disease, you must give the patient ribose. Because if there's not enough, if it's used up, you have difficulty forming enough ATP, which, as I said before, is our chi. It's our energy. So we need to give ribose. Now, if I knew about ribose when I was wrestling in college, I think I would have done a lot better. People in sports, baseball players, football players, long distance runners, a lot of them take ribose because it helps regenerate the energy in the body. And in a patient with congenital heart disease where energy is starving, ribose is very, very helpful.
Ok, agora para terminar a solução de Sinatra, eu quero saber sobre a coenzima Q10, o que é e qual a sua importância tanto no coração como para o cérebro.
Coenzyme Q10 is made by the body, and it's absolutely vital for life. Coenzyme Q10 does many things. It has a slight blood thinning effect. It's a membrane stabilizer. And the sine qua non of aging, of getting old, is when the cellular membranes have space between them. When the cellular membranes are tight, then toxins can't get in. So what CoQ10 does, it stabilizes the outer cellular membrane. And that's why it's believed to be very useful in anti-aging. The most important aspect of coenzyme Q10 is its bioenergetic effect. What coenzyme Q10 does in the inner mitochondrial membrane is that it turns over and helps to regenerate ATP. So biochemically, in patients with heart disease who need more energy, it makes perfect sense to take CoQ10 because the extra CoQ10 will drive ATP in a direction to create more energy. And energy is the essence of life.
Agora, quem deve tomar a solução de Sinatra tem contraindicação? É importante para prevenir doenças? Qualquer pessoa pode tomar a solução de Sinatra?
I think anybody over the age of 40, I've written in my books, should take these nutrients. But coenzyme Q10 is number one. This is the most important nutrient I believe anybody could take. Even healthy people over the age of 40. Recently, I've been thinking about 30 because of the computerized age that we live in. Because coenzyme Q10, not only is it a perfect antioxidant and membrane stabilizer, and helps to thin the blood a little bit, but as I said previously, it has a bioenergetic effect. Since the body makes it, there are really no contraindications. The only problem, and it's very, very rare, is that the blood thinner called Coumadin that we use in the United States has a similar structure to CoQ10. And very rarely, I've only seen it maybe twice in over 30 years of using CoQ10, where if a patient takes Coumadin and CoQ10 together, they get an additive blood thinning effect. But I believe, other than taking Coumadin, and I think 99.9% of people can take it anyway, anybody can take Coenzyme Q10. So for me, there's no contraindications.
Eu quero dar um recado para você, profissional da área da saúde. Indústria da Saúde Brasil, e Brasil com Z. Você que é profissional da área da saúde ou quer se tornar um profissional da área da saúde, essa é a instituição que vai te ajudar a conquistar um espaço nesse seleto mercado. Exatamente isso. Você pode, a partir de agora, fazer um curso via ensino à distância por computador em qualquer lugar do Brasil ou até mesmo do mundo. Olha, a Indústria da Saúde do Brasil, ela tem alguns cursos que realmente valem a sua atenção. Doutorado em Naturopatia via ensino à distância. Extensão universitária em fitoterapia, também na modalidade EAD. Extensão universitária em naturopatia, também via ensino à distância. Extensão universitária em ortomolecular, mais talassoterapia. Tudo isso você pode acessar agora pelo site Indústria da Saúde Brazil, brasilcomz.com.br. Acesse e tenha mais informações. Inclusive, esse é o WhatsApp que você pode entrar em contato agora, de domingo a domingo, a qualquer hora, para ter mais informações. Indústria da Saúde Brasil, brasilcomz.com.br.